Coming up on Network Africa. Final year students in South Africa resume school after a one-week break to curb the spread of the coronavirus. The Minister for Finance, Energy and Agriculture all test positive for coronavirus in the Gambia. Plus, as international flights resume in Kenya, the tourism industry looks to make great rebounds. Hello and a warm welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shoboale. From a rainstorm in the Sudanese capital Khartoum to Mali, where Chinese peacekeepers have been recognized for their efforts in the country. We begin the program with news and happenings that made headlines over the weekend.
Sudan's capital city of Khartoum and its surrounding areas were ravaged by a heavy rainstorm from Friday to Saturday. With the maximum precipitation reaching 92 millimeters, the downpour and the flood flow washed down many houses, but no deaths were reported. The governor of Khartoum State, Ayman Khalid Nimer, inspected the affected areas at Abu Karan in the southwestern part of Khartoum and Al Nuzaila, Al Gabar and Al Silat and Dwaban in the eastern part. He urged local authorities to adopt urgent remedial measures to drain off the floodwaters, send food supplies to affected families, and evacuated people trapped. On Saturday, a majority female medical detachment of China's 7th batch of peacekeeping troops to Mali were recognized after fulfilling their mission despite terrorist strikes and COVID-19 in the area. The medical detachment was lauded for its treatment of sick and wounded people and was commended by the commander of the Eastern Theater of Numas. After the outbreak of COVID-19, China's second-level hospital became the only one in the United Nations multidimensional integrated stabilization mission in Mali that could continue to perform medical treatment tasks. Presently, there are still 6 female soldiers from the 7th batch holding their posts in Mali, among those who have not yet returned to China.
All the tombs around the Great Pyramid mention Khufu Pyramid and the king himself. And also, inside the Great Pyramid, there is inscriptions telling us about the workmen and the gangs who built the pyramids.
Top Egyptologist Zahi Hawass took to social media on Saturday describing a tweet by Tesla chief executive Elon Musk in which he stated that the pyramids were built by aliens as hallucination.
The American millionaire Elon Musk. What you said about the pyramids is completely hallucination.
Musk tweeted on July the 31st saying the pyramids were built by aliens, prompting a response from Hawass, the former Minister of Antiquities, and Egypt's Minister of International Cooperation, Rania al-Mashat. Hawass told his following on social media that the inscriptions found inside the Great Pyramid tell the story of the king it was built for, as well as those who built them. He continued by saying that inside the tomb of the pyramid builders was proof that they were Egyptian and not slaves as had previously been believed.
We begin our COVID-19 pandemic coverage with the latest figures from across Africa. The continent's COVID-19 cases now stands at 958,106. Of that figure, there are 325,360 active cases. More than 612,000 people have recovered, and the death toll stands at over 20,300. South Africa has the highest number of cases on the continent, standing at 511 11,485. It's followed by Egypt with 94,483 cases and Nigeria with 43,841. Then Ghana with 37,014 cases and Algeria with 31,465 cases. Meanwhile, the countries with the most fatalities are South Africa with 8,366, Egypt 4,865, Algeria 1,231, Nigeria 888, and Sudan 752. Final year students in secondary schools are back to classes in South Africa after a one-week break ordered by President Cyril Ramaphosa to limit the spread of the coronavirus following a surge in cases among students. Schools are expected to gradually reopen over a 3-week period. Final year students in secondary schools, which is grade 12, will be first to resume classes on Monday, followed by final year students in primary schools, grade 7, on the 10th of August. Other learners are expected to resume classes on the 24th of August. The Education Ministry says the break had enabled the authorities to tighten measures to prevent the spread of coronavirus in schools.
As announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa late last month, grade 12 students in South Africa's public schools returned to school this Monday after a week's break. The rest of the grades are to be staggered in throughout the month of August. Another exit grade, grade 7, will resume on the 11th of August, and grades 5 and 8 will resume August the 31st, while the rest of the grades will resume a little bit earlier on the 24th. There are still points of disagreement over preparedness, safety and hygiene, as well as disadvantaged areas that may fall through the cracks. But the Department of Basic Education has now published a revised school calendar which sees the 2020 school year ending on the 15th of December instead of the pre-COVID date of December the 2nd. The President had announced that the 2020 school year will spill into 2021, but the current school year appears to have been salvaged somehow. This timeline mostly applies to the 4-term schools in the country. 3-term private schools who have been using online platforms for schooling are on holiday at the moment, and their calendar is different from this. Meanwhile, South Africa crossed the 500,000 mark for confirmed cases at the weekend, although the recovery rate is standing at 68%. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, President Cyril Ramaphosa has warned of harsh action on those he describes as hyenas who are profiteering from public funds intended for the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. His remarks are aimed at state officials who are accused of taking up government tenders, business people who are inflating prices of supplies of protective gear, and local administrators who are stockpiling relief food. President Ramaphosa says attempting to profit from a disaster that is claiming the lives of our people every day is the action of scavengers. It's like a pack of hyenas circling wounded prey. He adds that we are witnessing theft by individuals and companies with no conscience. The president has vowed bold action against those who found culpable. South Africa accounts for half of all reported coronavirus infections in Africa. It also has the 5th highest number of cases in the world after the United States, Brazil, Russia, and India. Let's get more on this story and other developments in South Africa. Our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, joins us now. Hello, Betty.
Hello, Tenny. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Let's begin with President Ramaphosa's warning to, in his words, hyenas stealing funds meant for COVID-19 relief. Has anyone been found culpable? And how have state officials reacted to this harsh tone from the president?
Investigations are ongoing. Let me take government speak, and that's what's making a lot of people angry. They're saying investigations have been going on forever. Most of these things are quite glaring. I mean, where you have the price of face masks changed or hiked by as much as 900%. So a lot of people are angry, but investigations are ongoing. Remember, on the 23rd of July, the president gave a proclamation empowering the Special Investigating Unit to look into all the allegations, and there are quite many. And they're not just stopping at COVID issues. We have the ESCOM issue, money stolen allegedly by top officials, now saying that the court should ask the board or the former board of ESCOM to return money that had been stolen. So there's so many cases. The institutions are at work. The problem is, will something happen at the end of the day? Will somebody end up wearing orange overalls and be going to jail? That's where people are watching to see, and they're saying, less talk, more action. Let's see who is going to be taken to court. And that's where we are. So all we're hearing is that investigations are ongoing. And you know, when in the president's weekly newsletter, he didn't stop at just companies or government officials. He talked to people. He spread the dragnet, of his accusations to people, even regular people. Somebody was paid mistakenly, or probably it wasn't a mistake, 4.7 million rand. Of UIF. UIF is Unemployment Insurance Fund for those when they're not, deductions being made while people are working. When they're not working, they get paid from there. So because of thousands, if not millions of job losses, a lot of people are being paid by UIF to the billions of dollars. Now these people, money meant for 200 workers, went to this person who went on a spending spree. So the president spoke about that, and we're just waiting to see if anybody will end up in court and be prosecuted, be found guilty. And that's where we are right now. It's still talk about what we're going to do, and we're doing this, we're doing that. What will end up at the end of the day? I mean, seeing people, cases being concluded, that's what remains to be seen.
I mean, there's a lot to look out for there, Betty. Let's move on a bit now. In South Africa, it's been back and forth over this issue of reopening schools, with final year students resuming yet again. What reaction is this garnering?
It's mixed. There are people who want schools to stay closed. There are people who want schools to stay open. So you can't really please everyone, but I know government is trying to ensure, especially for grade 12s, because their final year is this year. Normally they would have had their matric exams in October. That has been moved to November. They're trying to ensure at least those ones scale through or get through to now wait. Because remember, the COVID closure started about February, March, and schools, universities now, which they will be moving into, started school February, March. So you still have a year, first years of freshmen in universities who haven't really done much, because it's the final years of those who need labs and clinical lessons and all that are allowed back in school, or allowed back in school. So they just want to know, okay, we're done with these people, and then grade 7s who will be going into high school. So they're the ones covered by the basic education department, primary and secondary. The people, the unions, the teachers' unions are still worried about level of preparedness and safety of their members and the pupils as well. And they're demanding, or they're requesting, an urgent meeting with the Department of Basic Education as soon as possible to get assurances, whether the members will be safe enough to go back to school. Remember, it's not just pupils who have been testing positive. You have teachers as well who have been. So probably tomorrow they will have that meeting. We don't know, but we haven't really heard. All I know is that within the month of August, you have the public schools. Private, there's a 3-term and 4-term system in South Africa. Many of the private schools are in the 3-term system, but what we've been talking about is the public schools, which is the 4-term structure or system of education. So they're all going back to school within this month.
A lot of African countries like Kenya has, closed schools till 2021. Namibia is also closing schools due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Just talk to us now about what the Education Ministry in South Africa is saying concerning the state of readiness of the schools in the country as far as safety measures are concerned.
Well, if we go by what they're saying they're mostly ready. They admit that some schools are readier or more ready than others. They're disadvantaged communities where the level of preparedness, hygiene and safety, some schools are still using pit toilets. Some don't even have facilities or health facilities that you have standby within the school. They admit that is still the issue in some of the provinces, but they're saying we still have to make the best of what we have, since we already have one term already done before this happened, because the first term was from January to March. So they're saying that they're prepared enough and they will keep making things better along the way and ensuring that pupils and teachers alike are safe. It's just what they are saying. Many don't agree, but they're going ahead with the school year because they believe that the scientists have assured them that it's safe enough for children to be in school, and they need the intellectual stimulation. That you can't just leave children like that for a long period. So they're working with what the scientists have told them. They're saying it is safe enough for children to go to school, and you cannot leave children to stay idle for a long period without the academic stimulation that they require, especially the very young ones.
All right, then, Betty, thank you so much once again for joining us on Network Africa, and do stay safe.
You too. Thank you so much.
Still ahead on the program, we meet a fashionista from Nairobi, well known for his unique sense of style. Details in a moment. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. School attendance for most students is set to be suspended in Namibia again on Tuesday as coronavirus cases increase in the country. The closure comes after parents and teachers are threatened to demonstrate if schools remained open despite the rising number of new infections. Learning in all classes except for final year students will be suspended for 28 days. President Age Gangob on Friday tightened the rules prohibiting drinking in bars, but drinking is allowed at home. He also relaxed the rules for tourists not to undergo 14 days mandatory isolation if they present a negative COVID-19 test conducted within 72 hours before arrival. The country has so far recorded more than 2,200 cases of the virus. 3 cabinet ministers in the Gambia have tested positive for the coronavirus. According to a statement from the presidency, the ministers include Finance Minister Mambure Ndie, Petroleum and Energy Minister Fafa Sanyang, and Agriculture Minister Amy Fabure. President Adama Barrow last week went into self-isolation after Vice President Issatu Toure tested positive for the virus. The Gambia has so far confirmed nearly 500 coronavirus cases and 9 deaths. The government has made the wearing of face masks compulsory in public places and has also banned social gatherings. As international passenger flights resume in Kenya, the tourism industry is happy about this, following a months-long suspension due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The period from June to September is the high season of the Kenyan tourism industry. In the past, hotel rooms were hard to book during this time, and safari vehicles full of tourists could be seen everywhere in the famous Masai Mara National Reserve. Unfortunately, the number of international visitors dropped sharply this year due to the pandemic, causing heavy losses for local tourism businesses. With the resumption of international flights into the country, which had been suspended in March, the tourism industry sees a silver lining.
Tourism, it is largely dependent on international tourism. So the resumption of international air traffic is very critical for us, because it means now you can come into the country. We can start selling packages and you can actually come to the country and enjoy the tourism. So that is a very critical and very much needed.
Away from the COVID-19 pandemic, in Somalia, 2 security guards have been killed after stopping a suicide bomber from entering a busy restaurant in the capital, Mogadishu. The bomber detonated the device after being confronted by the guards. Several customers were injured during the blast in the city's Hamajajab district. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, but the Islamist militant group Al-Shabaab frequently carries out attacks on civilian and military targets in the region. Still on security, 5 soldiers have been killed in central Mali after twin attacks by suspected Islamist militants. Mali's army says that a military convoy was attacked between Gomakura and Diabale, while a second attack at the military camp in Gamakura. 5 other soldiers were injured and vehicles destroyed. It's not certain who carried out the attack, but the army says reinforcement have been sent to the area. Mali has faced a series of attacks from militant jihadists in recent months. The country is also facing a political crisis. The opposition has been calling for the resignation of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta for failing to stop the attacks and corruption allegations. Now, activists in Tanzania are protesting the new rules introduced by the government that restrict online content, saying they are infringing on people's freedom of expression. Under the new legislation, organizing, planning, or even supporting any form of demonstration online is now illegal. The new rules have also banned sharing of information about infectious disease outbreak without government permission. The Tanzanian authorities have removed rules governing hate speech on the basis of sexuality and gender. Correspondents say the new rules also make it possible for people to be persecuted for what they write on shared instant messaging platform such as a WhatsApp group. According to human rights groups, since President John Magufuli came to power 5 years ago, the Tanzanian authorities have cracked down on the media, civil society organizations, and individuals critical of the government. Let's head to Kenya now to meet a fashionista with a unique dressing style. He is James Maina Mwangi from Nairobi, who became well known for his unique sense of style. The man has hundreds of bright and vibrant outfits that he wears on a daily basis, effectively covering the entire color palette. Everything from his suits, hats, and ties to phone cases and other accessories are color coordinated, and it's fascinating to watch. Let's take a look.
James Maina thought men weren't supposed to wear colorful clothes.
Men know how to wear colors in black, brown, gray, or dark blue. Those were men's colors. But God gave me wisdom and showed me all the different colors I can wear to be different from everybody else. And that's how I started.
The 59-year-old, dressed in yellow suit pants and jacket with a striped red, blue and yellow shirt, joined by a red and yellow tie and yellow hat, said that he drew curious reactions 25 years ago when he would go out in his colorful suits. But soon enough, some began emulating him.
People did not understand what I was doing, but they would say I looked very smart. And they slowly bought into the idea, and now men are dressing in all colors.
James Maina recalls the day when he was a kid and he only had one shirt, washing it daily and putting it on even before it gets dried. People would laugh at him because of how poor he was and called him crazy. But he would always say, "One day, I'll be a star." Now things have changed. He now has about 160 suits, over 200 shoes, 300 hats and much more. And in the era of coronavirus, he has added another item to his collections, the colorful mask.
I give away some clothes. I even give to street children so they can wear a suit and feel nice. And others I give away to churches. So I'm asking all people of goodwill to join me in supporting street children and orphans, as there are too many problems now due to COVID-19. Money is scarce in the country.
James Maina, who now earns a living as a matatu organizer, helping the infamous Nairobi buses determine their route, says when it comes to his style, no one dresses like him.
Well, I have to say I envy his boldness. And that's Network Africa today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shuboale.